Here we go. We're live. We're live on the internet again, and today is Monday, December the 1st, 2025, 2025, whatever. And we are live from Virginia today in the Princess Beef headquarters. We are live, and I've been out in California for the last week doing a hackathon, which we completed braid, and it was great. It was amazing. And it's still not finished. It still needs work. It needs work. It needs a lot of work. It's like 0.4 or 5. There's actually a release now. You can actually download it. You can brew install it. You can grab the binary. I think there's even a Docker. There's a Docker image. I haven't got NPM working yet because NPM have changed how they do tokens, and they're all kind of scoped now, a little bit like GitHub. Really annoying. Just really annoying. It's like I can't figure out what I need to enable, what needs to be done. It just used to work, and now they've changed everything to make it more secure. Except it doesn't feel more secure to me. It just feels janky or more annoying. There's a better way to put it. So today, what are we doing? Today we are doing some code reviews. We are code reviewing. There's been a whole bunch of MRs and PRs. Sorry, MRs and PRs. GitLab is MRs. GitHub is PRs. Pull requests, not merge requests. Those are from GitLab. Sorry, we use GitLab internally at Splunk/Cisco, and it's okay. It's okay. Would I choose it? No. Although I do like their CI/CD. It's a lot more power. You have a lot more control than Actions. Actions are horrible. I hate them, but they're also pretty good, and you get them for free. So I'm not going to solve. I'm not going to complain. But today, as I said, it's code review, and I'm going to start with Vacuum. We've actually got a whole bunch of different repos to look at. We're going to be going through Vacuum. We'll take a look at libopenAPI validator. There's a bunch of stuff in there. Oh, not a bunch of stuff. There's a couple of PRs that need to be reviewed. And then we'll look at some of the local code that I've had developed over the last couple of weeks that I haven't had a chance to look at. That had agents building away for me. I've looked at some of it and I haven't looked at most of it. So we'll just go through it bit by bit and then we'll commit it. One of the things I like to do before I commit code is obviously look at it. I'm not the kind of person that just has an AI agent just build, and then I commit all the code. And then you can do that because you can obviously merge and squash and roll back and all kinds of stuff. It gets wonderful for that. But I find just personally that I lose track of what's going on, and then all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of code that I haven't seen before in my code base that's committed, and I don't recognize it and I don't understand what it's doing. Of course. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. You know what? I know this buzzing phone thing is annoying. I'm just going to turn it off for a couple of hours because it's annoying me. No, it just goes zzz, 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 zzz in my pocket all the time. And what is it? Nonsense. Most of it. I mean, we should probably do this more often. Is just turn off the phone. It's nonsense. Okay. I don't know who's watching. If you are watching, thank you. If you're not, thank you. I appreciate anyone who's listening and watching with their eyeballs right now. Anyway, I'm just going to continue with the code review. So let's go back to little me. Hello, little me in the corner over here. Hello, down here. You see me? Down here. Not up there. Down here. Anyway, reviews. So, there's a couple, well, there's actually quite a few in here. There's a community member called Tristan, this chap here. So I'm bring up, well, I didn't want that. Let's go into this and show you Tristan. Tristan is a community member, commits quite a lot of code to Vacuum, uses it internally, professionally. Lots of great stuff from Tristan, and he created a few things that I need to go and look at over the last week. What he actually did was there was something that he committed, and then there was some stuff he added for documentation to my personal website as well. I let somebody into my personal website. There's nothing in there, don't worry. There's nothing in there. Nothing that I would want to be hidden. Let's put it that way. It's all very. It used to be public, actually. It used to be open source, but I made it. I changed that just because. But maybe I should undo that because all the documentation is in vacuum, is in there. You know what? I've already approved this, so let's go and take a look at this. Yeah, so this is actually a really nice feature for the language server, and it allows you to provide different rule sets based on the content. So it's essentially dynamically loading and unloading rule sets based on context. So we come in here and just take a quick look at this review again because I can't quite remember exactly what happened. I'll make that smaller. You're annoying. Why can't I get rid of you? You shouldn't be there. There we go. Thank you. Alright, we can get the full width of the screen now. So we've got our document context. And there's a rule set selector based on the file name or the content of the document being processed. The rule set selector is used with new server with rule set selector to allow you to dynamically return what rules should be used for the language server diagnostics based on the actual content of the OpenAPI spec being processed. So it looks at the content of the spec. We can put some hooking logic in here and it will decide which rule set to load. Nice. So have different teams which require different rules. And you can check the value of info.contact.name in the spec and return the hang on a minute. Some typo there. Relient rules for that team. Relevant. I think I spelled that right. Okay, and then we want to enable OWASP rules for a specific server. So basically this comes with a selector. It's like look up this and then return that. So it's a way to do a dynamic lookup using the language server if you're using VS Code or NeoVim or whatever. So we got some rule set selector. So basically what we're doing here is we're pulling out the selected rule set by using this rule set selector, and then we're actually changing vacuum to do that. Now where is this rule set selector? Selector. And it's a function. Okay. Alright. Alright, so basically you just pass in your own function that takes document context and then you return a rule set. How you do that is up to you. It's your own implementation. This is a really nice feature. Really happy with it. I think it's a really nice upgrade for Vacuum from Tristan. Now, if I'm correct, there should be go doc lines. Okay, yeah, then I asked for an update to the language server docs, and I told Tristan where it was. And then 2 weeks ago, yeah, that's about right. The timeline's about right. It's about 10, 12 days ago that we were doing this. It's the last time I had a chance to look at it. And we're going to look at that stuff now. Okay, relevant. All right, let's do this. Let's go into my documentation. Where are you? Quobix.com is what we're looking for. Oh god. There we are. So many repos. That whole homepage is so useless. I mean, like, this is kind of useful, is like seeing people committing and starring and stuff. But most of it is just like, I don't care, man. Like, I mean, not that this project isn't cool, but it's just, I don't use it. And like that. Anyway, just moaning here, moaning. Whoops, I need to Turn that back on. Sorry, I was clicking my mouse. Scroll wheel. I got a scroll wheel lock on it. Let's go back to quobix. All right, we have a PR in here. Add docs about dynamically loading rule sets. So let's take a look. And it should be just one file modified, which is the language server. And then we've got dynamic loading rule sets based on file content. Yep. Scenario. So I'm just reading here. You can easily apply whatever linting rules you want from linting the spec. You can define a rule set selector function, which takes in document context and returns rule sets. Rule sets, yes. Nice. So let's say I want to enable the vacuum default rules or specs, but I have some open API specs in the additional security text, and I want to be able to, you know, get the OWASP rules running for that. I could ask the teams to remember what rule set their spec should be using. Yeah, so you basically can either configure it out front for each team, or you can use this new function that will just dynamically look at the spec and say, I can see that you have, you know, this contact name, or you're using these paths, or whatever it is that you want to identify your document with, whatever selector you need, and then it'll return that specific rule set designed specifically for that team. This is really nice. As Tristan said, it's only useful for libraries, but there's a load of projects out there that are using vacuum as a library and not as the binary. You know, because it comes in two flavors. You can build your own version of vacuum using vacuum as an engine, or you can use vacuum as it comes as a binary. It's up to you. I personally use it as an engine. That's what I built it for. It's really built as an engine. The CLI tool that exists is just a convenience wrapper. The reason why I built vacuum was to power the Doctor. That's the only reason it exists. Plus, we need it, but it's there as an engine for my larger tooling. But it's very powerful in its own right. So other people use it for their own purposes. Some people use vacuum for linting completely different specs, like just YAML files, custom YAML files. Kong do that actually. So let's just read through some of this sample code. This example reads a document, extracts the service name value. Right, so it's using an extension here as the identifier, but in practice, is that spelled right? Practice. Yeah, I thought it was wrong. Bugger. How do I want to, what's this? Reference. I want to do an edit. Start review. Maybe I will just do, what is this? Add a suggestion. Add suggestion to batch. Apply suggestion. There you go. Typo. Alright, great. Now I don't have to worry about bugging him. Alright, where were we? There we go. Much better. Language server, blah, 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 blah. Before, select rule sets, function. Secure services, slices. Okay. This is our function. This is our select rule sets. It returns this function here. And sorry, there's a bunch of noise in the background today because my kids are at home and there is also cleaners in my house, and there's a construction site outside at the moment because I'm building some stuff in the backyard. So there's a bunch of diggers and builders and cleaners and kids running around in my house. So if you hear any kind of banging or clanging or crying in the background, sorry. Trying my best here. I do have a noise gate now on my mic, which should cut out some of the background noise. Should. But anyway, back to our review. Slices contain secure services, generate this, okay. Slices contains extract service name. Okay, so the service name is coming out of .content. Okay. All right, so what it's doing here is it is essentially taking and so extract service name takes in the .content. The .content is unmarshaled into spec bytes, and then it uses this very simple struct here based off of this extension. This is a nice little way to pull out. This is actually a nice little design to pull out a very specific key in YAML. It's only going to unmarshal that. I'm assuming it's going to be on the root, obviously. So it's going to be on the root, and oh no, and it's nested in info. Oh, look at that. Yeah, okay. So it looks in info, then it looks for this extension, and then it's looking for that service name. Okay, so we look at the docs. Yeah, okay, wow, clean. Tristan always likes good clean code. Nice good clean code. All right, and that passes that into the selector function, which will then pull out the rule set. Yes. Thank you, Tristan. Or TX3STN. It's good to me. All right. Looks good to me. We're going to rebase and merge. Oh, we don't need to worry about that. We don't use GitHub pages. We don't use GitHub pages. We use something else. And if you're interested in knowing what we are actually using, okay, now I've got the docs in. We can now commit this. And this. I don't think we need a major version for this because yes, it is a new feature, but it's not really something you can use from the binary. It's more of a library, so we'll just do it as a patch. Oh yeah, I've already done that. Look at that. Look at this. Look down here. You see? There. Release patch. You know what I do want to do though? Well, what I'm going to do is... We are... Sorry, stop talking. I didn't mean stop talking, I was just thinking. And we are going to go to the language server, developer API. No, where are you? Why am I struggling to find you? There it is, language server. There you are. All right. So the language server command is what we're modifying, which is where we've got the new rule set piece from Tristan. So what we're doing is we're waiting for the pipeline to run. If you're interested, while we're waiting for the pipeline to run, I'll just explain it just very briefly. The pipeline, so this is actually hosted by AWS Amplify. This entire website is nothing more than straight up static HTML. There is no server generation, there is no server rendering happening at all. This is 100% static, which is why it is blisteringly fast. Look how this website is blistering. Data instant everywhere, instant. It's instant. And you don't see that a lot of times these days anymore. It's because, you know, people have forgotten how to build performant, multi-page, large-scale websites with hundreds. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of documentation in here. Every core function, every rule set, everything in here is documented. There's just tons, and it all loads lickety split. It's an art that seems to have been forgotten. Is static web. I mean, this is what you always used to be static, right? There's technically no need. There's technically no need for what we've built, the mess we've created. We're just waiting for the language server. There it is. It's already updated. Now see, isn't that beautiful? I love automation. Here's our new code. Here's all the stuff that Tristan added. Beautiful. All right. Thanks, Tristan. Okay, now we can go and approve this and merge this in because all the docs are live. Let me just make a note of that. So it's hosted. It's a static website. It's generated by Hugo. I use Hugo as my content management system because it's just simply the best thing on planet Earth. And when it comes to content management systems, and if you're using any other content management system, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, Hugo gives you absolute power. If it existed back in 2000, when I was really into CMSs, because everyone was, man, it would have changed the game forever. It's still a bit janky in places, a little janky, but for the most part, it's beautiful. It's perfect. And let me just update this. Updated. All right, the docs are updated. Now we can. Excuse me. Where's? I already did it 4 minutes ago. Oh, idiot. Wrong MR. Hang on. Maybe I can actually come in and do this. Brilliant. And do the same thing I did last time. Brilliant. Where's my comment? There it is. Let's do this. Suggestion. Relevant comment. Yes, that's what I want. Suggestion. Yes. Thank you. Let's apply that suggestion. Beautiful. Fuck. God, I missed the whole comment. That's not what I want. Apply suggestion. Alright. Oh, goddamn. There was an error trying to commit changes. You an ass, GitHub. Fudge you, sorry. We'll just move on. Submit review. Let's fudge and go. This is typo, doesn't care, doesn't matter, it's really base. Let's go. At least we got one review in. One review. All right. No chat today. Not that I'm seeing anyway. I'm not seeing any chat. Cool. Pretty early. And it's the holidays. And it's December. I'm sure everyone's fast asleep at the moment. That's a good way to be. It's a good way to be. All right, what's the next thing? We've done that. We've done vacuum. Let's take a look. What else we got in here? I've asked for changes to this. Yeah. No feedback yet. All right. I'll come back to that one. What else we got? No style in bundle command. The ASCII green bold color using the help is not disabled. Oh man. Oh yeah. Thank you. You know what? Let's bunch up a couple of these other ones that are doing like multiple releases. No, I don't know. I don't want to read this. Let's go back to Tristan because this guy. Now autofix isn't in place. We can apply the autofixes via a code action in the language server. Let's watch this video. Schemas. So, just some context on this. Tristan added a auto fix capability. It's something I've wanted to build for a long time into Vacuum. I've built hooks for it. I've got ideas on it, and basically, Tristan built exactly what I was looking for. It's the same design I had in my head. It's just a clean design. It's the only design I could come up with, and he came up with the exact same one, and he's implemented it, and it works. Haven't enabled it yet. It's very, very custom. It's only if you're using Vacuum as a library, but you now have the capability to put auto fix magic in here. So yeah, this just leveled up the tool into the next echelon. That's the right way to say it, I think. Oh my god. This is great. Tested in Vim VS Code. Rule has an autofix function. Okay, so here's how it works. If a rule has an autofix function defined, the LSP will show a quick fix item to apply that rule. Getting that rule ID didn't seem to work referencing directly from the diagnostic. I could not work out why SP read it from the diagnostic message. Interesting. So we can't get the rule ID referencing directly from the diagnostic. That's interesting. Oh, maybe yeah. There is a quirk in that. Maybe you need to look into that. When the quick fix is applied, it will replace the highlighted diagnostic text with the replacement, as I've seen in the screen recording. Yeah, changing the enum. Let's go back and just look at that again. And changing the enum with the quick fix. Enum value 1, value 2. And then we apply the quick fix. I just want to see what's going on in that. I don't use NeoVim or VS Code, as a matter of fact. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm excited. Let's go and see. Let's go and take a look at the review. What else is added? The language server. Oh, bugger. I shouldn't have pushed a release. Now I'm going to have to do another one. If you ever wonder why sometimes there's days where there's like 2 or 3 patch releases, it's because I've done stupid stuff like this. You know, I'm just like, oh, I click go and release it, and there's other things that we should bundle in here, and I'm just too eager. So sorry. Auto fix functions. All right, so we've now got a new property, which is a map of model.autofix function. I don't think I've seen that definition yet. Oh yes, I have. Oh, I can't remember what it looks like though. Need to look at that. I think there is a glitch in the rule set, that there's like a nested rule ID that isn't applied on one level, and I can't remember which one. Hey man, I'm sorry if you can hear the vacuum in the background. There's a vacuum. I'm not sure if you can hear it. Oh, there's banging. I can try and bring up. Now the gate is active. No, it's not. Where's my noise gate? Why is my noise gate not on? Hello, hello, hello. There it is. Oh wow, it's set way up there. Oh no, what am I doing? What am I doing? Okay. There we go. See, now I've got the noise gate on, and you shouldn't be able to hear all that background stuff. Sorry. God, that is very annoying. Alright, I keep it on. So yeah, there's vacuuming, there's banging. I'm sorry. I've now got my noise gate. I don't know why that was turned off. It was on. Anyway. Alright, sorry. Distracted with all the toys again. Distracted with the toys. Back to the code. Okay, so if you can find the rule, and there is autofix for the rule, we need to go and find out what exactly is going on there. Has autofix for rule? Protocol, code action, kind, quick fix. That is coming from somewhere else. Where's protocol coming from? Let's zoom you out. And you. Wait. Where's the protocol? What's protocol? How did that get defined? Where's protocol? There it is. Okay. That's coming from the LSP. All right, great. We don't have to worry about the quick fix is part of the thank God. Okay, thank God. Ugh, good. That was worrying me. I didn't remember if that existed. Okay, so the quick fix is actually part of the protocol. Good. Not something we're adding. And then it's going to put in the right struct with things in the right format. This is very nice. Diagnostic. Where's the diagnostic? Params, context diagnostics. Code description. Params, protocol. Okay. This is all coming in from the LSP. Right, so really we're just using the library here. Apply autofix. If rule exists, then request selected rule ID. Does the rule exist in the rule set? Otherwise, no, do nothing. And then we've got the autofix functions that come through, and then we have, because it's a map, and if it exists, it doesn't exist, do nothing. And then we're going to go ahead and unmarshal the content into the root node, which so we basically get the YAML tree. Cancel. What's going on there? You want to click on that, and then we find the node at the diagnostic location. All right, so we basically pull out the node at line whatever. Has to be +1 because they start it. In YAML, it's always the value is always the next line down. Like you got the key, then you got a value. Actually, no. We should think about this. +1. What about nodes that? What about value? Nodes that are on the same line as the key, like thing. All right, and find node align. Apply the autofix function. Let's take a look at that find node at line. We'll come back to this. Where are you? Oh, that's tests. Or is that something I've already built? Find. There it is. No, this is what I'm looking for. Find node at line. We'll bring the node in. A lot target line. If there's nothing, or if it is, if we're looking at the same thing, return it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's recursive. Okay. All right. Find parent node. Okay. Let's go back to that. Modifies the node in place. So use the modify. Okay, so the autofix is going to basically re-render the YAML node where it is. Need to modify, include the key in the colon. These lines make me a bit scared. This +1 -1. Whenever I have used +1 -1 in any kind of line number calculation, things get a bit strange simply because it doesn't apply when you're using JSON that may be compressed onto a single line. The YAML, I've actually had to go and undo some of this code that's buried in the system where I do these +1 -1 calculations based on parent node and child node. And honestly, I find it's easier to genuinely walk the tree and pull numbers out that way because when you have keys and values that are on the same line, this fails miserably, particularly for like string values. Non-objects is where the problem is. Objects, yeah, sure, it will always work, but non-objects, that's where the problem is. So, all right, so maybe I need to clean up because. No, I'm just editing this because using the diction instead of typing. Non-objects are where the problem are where the problems are. All right, so let me just. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? I pressed home, man. Not. Oh God, get it together, man. All right. Have you tested this with JSON files just to make sure everything is working? All right. Okay. Place key value, not key value. So I can hear the beeping in the background. Look at that. Damn. It's breaking my sound, but it's breaking my noise gate. Let's see if we can turn it up. There we go. I've increased the gate, so my breaths might sound a bit janky now. I'll try not to breathe into the mic, but it does mean that we're not going to get the beeping in the background. Beeping and banging and God. Oh my God. As my mum used to say. Oh my God. More like that. Alright. So this code here from 239 down to 253 is filling me with a little bit more confidence because it's actually walking the tree and doing even odd comparison, and keys and values are always going to use the modulo to determine whether it's even or odd. This little, you don't know what this is here, this little I%2, this is basically saying what's the remainder after you've divided by 2, which, if it's even or odd, it's got to be 0. So if it's 0, it means it's even, and that's a key. If it's 1 or something else, well, it's always going to be 1, isn't it? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, even or odd, even, key, odd, value, key, value, and because that's how it is actually stored in the EAST. You got the YAML.node is stored as sequences, so it's not a map, it's a sequences, it's a slice. So that's how the indices work. For complex structures, marshal the entire node. Okay. All right, better look at all this code down here. The only thing of difference is here is in our apply. This is what we've added. We've formatted this, changed the format, and then we've added autofix functions. And then in the server, language server, this is just formatted differently. And these are tests. Right. Love the video. Just a couple of questions. No changes, really. Looking good. All right. I'll leave that one there because there's just a couple of questions in there. All right. Okay. So this one is good to go. The other one I've got a question on. And then let's take a look at this. Risky. Bundle document before schema validation to resolve external operation refs. Fixes false positive schema invalid errors when open API specs use ref to external files for path operations. The validator uses info spec JSON, which doesn't have. I don't know what on earth is going on here. What on earth is going on here? Oh, okay. No. So I'm reading here. I'm just reading the code. And so the request here is to basically bundle the document and then validate that using the open API schema. Like I'm curious now, as if they've deleted a bunch of tests. No, they haven't. They haven't. They are bundling it. Why do I want to bundle it? There really isn't any other changes in here. There's some additional. Okay, they've added a test in here. Yeah. So the nuts and bolts of this change is to go ahead and bundle the document for this particular rule, and then validate that. Now, the way the purpose of bundling is that it's going to bring in every external reference and inline it. Yeah, this is just using a straight up bundle. So the bundle command, there's two versions of bundling, if you didn't know. Where's my bundler? Functions, bundle spec. All right. So there's two ways to do this. There's bundling compose versus inline. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to spit out here. Inline bundling is where it takes all those references, which is what this is talking about here, as part of the come back here, and part of the conversation is it's giving schema invalid errors where open API specs use ref to external files for path operations. Fix is 760. What is this? Oh, this is it. Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. The problem is this, I think. Now, I can't remember if this is supported in the schema or not. What is this? Latest spec 3.2. Let's go to paths, and in the path we have a path item, and in the path item we have an operation get. Now, problem is The reason why vacuum doesn't work is because this is illegal. You see, the reason why it doesn't, the reason vacuum is accurate in this sense, it's accurate because you have created an illegal document and the spec is telling you that it doesn't work. It's failed validation because you can't use that. Here, you see, no reference. If you can use a reference, it'll say reference object. Down there, see that? Reference object. You can use references as parameters. You can use references only in parameters in a path item. So vacuum is doing the right thing. I am going to deny this because it's breaking vacuum. It's adding a convenience, but it's the whole point of vacuum is to tell you you've done it wrong. And you have done it wrong. Let's make that clear. Thank you for your contribution, but I can't allow this one in because it is not right. It is not right. Let's do this. Okay. Thank you for your contribution here. And on the surface level, it does actually look like it's solving a real problem. However, upon further investigation, it's actually not solving a problem. It is bypassing the problem. If we take a look at the specification, you'll see that you cannot use a reference for an operation. You can only inline the operation. It cannot be referenced. There is no allowance for references. You can see where references are allowed by seeing, actually, you know what? Let's just, let's take a screenshot because I love doing this. Look. There we go. Get. Lovely. Okay. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to go back to. The Cowboy Components is closed today. We're not working on Cowboy Components today. We're reviewing code today. Let's add that picture in. Let's add that picture in, shall we? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll find it first. There. So that. All right. Try not to be. I want to be informative, not petty. However, no, not however. That's the wrong word. You can use references in parameters, as you can see clearly. No, don't see clearly. That's wanky. Don't want to be an arse. I want to be helpful. I'm gonna copy and paste this. Nope. 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 So this isn't a bug, it's accurate. By bundling, you are in fact modifying to become accurate. Accurately informing you that you have done something wrong. By bundling, you are in fact modifying the document to become accurate. The ref is collapsed. The operation ref is collapsed. Great. Great. Okay, let's go in and hang on, what was the 760? As I mentioned, damn it, mentioned in the bug, this isn't actually a bug. You're not allowed to include a reference that's an operation in a path item object. It's not part of the spec, and Vacuum is in fact telling you what to do and what actually telling you to fix it. What this does is actually break the point of Vacuum by in effect fixing the spec for you by bundling it, which will fix it. It does make it accurate, but that's not the spec you've supplied. That's not the document. So for the sake of correctness and accuracy, I'm going to deny this one because it will in fact break Vacuum from telling you that you've done something wrong. Yeah, okay. So, thank you, Risky. Risky? I'm not sure if that's how you... Risky? Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. But in fact, as Tristan has correctly said, you need to bundle it and then validate it, not bundle it while valid, because that completely breaks the point of Vacuum. So it's like a complete violation of the purpose of the tool. Although it does get you where you want to be, but it doesn't actually improve anything. What you're doing is masking the problem, not highlighting the problem. So we'll skip past that. Thanks though. Appreciate it. What else we got? I've got a comment on there. No fixed style. Reviews. One linked issue. Yes. All right. I'm going to just add in a label here. I'm just going to push it out. I should fix this 758. God, there's loads of banging outside my office right now. Sorry. Monday. It's clean. Monday's cleaning day. Cleaning. We clean. Well, I don't. I do clean. Make Discord bot videos, please. Sorry. What? Sorry, that was a comment from Kitsuke Urana YouTube. I don't know what you mean. What does he want me to do? I've got a Discord if you want to join it. You want to link the chat? I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want me to do. Sorry. Happy to try and do whatever you're asking, but I don't know what you're asking. Make Discord bot, please. I do have a Discord bot. It's just you can't use it. I mean, tell me what you want to do with it. Tell me what you want, and I'll figure it out. I'm not entirely sure. All right. I'm gonna be able to prove this now because we are. Oh my God! There's so much noise. Oh God. It sounds like there's someone with a vacuum in my brain right now. Even the gate can't stop that. Even the noise gate can't stop that sound. There is nothing I can do. I'm sorry. We are listening to me in my house being vacuumed. All right, well, there's a couple of releases in there. Some nice new docs in our language server, courtesy of Tristan. Thank you, Tristan. A prolific contributor to Vacuum so far, doing amazing things, building amazing things into the tool, making it his own. That's exactly what this is about. Make it your own. It's MIT licensed code. It's free. It's free. It's free, completely free. Change it, hack it, mutate it. As long as you don't get rid of the copyright on the top of the code, you can do whatever you like with it. Have fun. Or don't. That's the beauty of being free. Alright, I think we're good here. We're good here on Vacuum. Vacuum is good. I think. We just need to wait for Tristan to come back onto that. Alright, let's move over. Let's go back to the beginning and come over to the validator. There is stuff in here that we need to go and look at. Yeah, what's all this? Oh. Live Open API. YAML v4. 3 weeks. And then we've got another bump. All right, let's just have it do these. We'll release. Well, can I bring these all in? There's no build for Live Open API validator, so there's no worry about tagging. We don't have to worry about the pipeline tagging. All right, you're in there. What else we got? We got Live Open API. Compatibility unknown. Just make sure it's not doing anything else. It should just be the Go mod files. Yeah, you should all be non-breaking. Non-breaking. Yes, rebase and merge. All right. What else have we got? Reload. Hang on, man. Was it just merged down? Wait, why are you... You should be closed, bro. There you go. Gone now. All right. This one's obvious. Resolve conflicts. Oh, come on, arse. No. No, that's broken. That is broken. We are gonna ignore this one and we'll do it manually. I hate it when Go gets things totally messed up. That is arsed. Both changes. YAML v4 3.1. I think it's got this just all mixed up. It's all mixed up now, you see. Blech. Delete that. I'm going to need to jump off for a second. Well, not jump off, but go and take a quick bio break in 1 moment. In the meantime, I'm going to leave the code up, so... Okay. Alright. 4 PRs in order. 1 pre-validation error cleanup. Draft. Draft. There's 4 drafts. Yikes. Okay. This is a lot for me to go through, and I don't think I want to do it all on stream. There's other things I want to get through. There's there's a lot in here. Going to have to spend some time on this. It's a lot to read and grok. I need to go through it. I'll be right back. I need to hit the bio break station for a second. Be right back. Actually, that's not working very well. Let's do this. Do this one. We'll do this one. You know, I'm sorry. I have my mic muted again. I was muted because there's a whole bunch of noise in the background, and you can probably hear it as I'm talking. There's vacuuming and banging and stuff, and I had it muted for a second, and I didn't realize anyone was watching. Good morning, David Serrano. Good morning. Sorry, I hope you can hear me now. We're doing some code reviews today. We spent the first hour. First hour looking through some stuff in Vacuum. Now we're looking through some stuff in the Dogtail, and I'm talking about what we're going to actually be reviewing. Thank you for the heads up. And you always, if you can't hear me, please ping me on chat, because Advent of code, get lost. I'm not doing that. That is a not for me. I'm not going to be derogatory about it, because it's a great thing for many people, but it's just not for me. Not for me at all. I have nothing to prove. Nothing. I'm here building for real, doing real things. Advent of code is fun, but it's just not for me. I don't get any reward from it. It's like doing leak code. Why would you do that? Well, you do it for a couple of reasons. You're crazy and you enjoy competitive programming because, I don't know, for some reason, reciting algorithms at speed is somehow powerful. I don't know. I guess it's like watching anyone like speed chess or something. It's like, wow, look at that. It's like, well, how can you apply that skill in reality unless you're actually just competing for the sake of the competition? what does any of this mean? Does it make you a better programmer? It might. Maybe. You learn something. I guess that's what it's really about, isn't it? It's forcing you to learn. Forcing you to learn and think about designs. Anyway, it's not for me. I don't get any value from it. I don't like doing toys. I like building real things. I get value from building real things. Because if it's a toy, then who gives a crap? Who cares? Who cares? It's going to sit in a repo and rot. And you might look at that code. You might. Probably not. Because that's what, AI is already baked into AI, literally. Like, why do you care? I mean, you might care. I mean, okay, that's probably a stupid thing to say, to be honest, because you should care. If you already know it, why do you care? That's where I'm coming from. It's like, you already know that. I was like, well, who cares? Who cares? But if you don't know it, yeah, absolutely, very valuable. And you need to get that learned neural pathway. Well, building something is the next level up. It actually gives you meaning. Yes, I wouldn't say it gives me meaning, but sorry, there goes that vacuum again. I can't do nothing about it. The maids are in the house, and it's Monday. It's that time of the week. Until I get my own studio, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. The reason why I do it, the reason why I build, is because I can't stop thinking. Maybe this is the only way I can describe it. If I've got a song in my head, I can't stop singing it until I've recorded it. Then I never sing it again. If I've got a tune or a melody in my head, it goes round and round and round and round forever until I do it, and then I'm done. And I don't need to think about it, and I don't think about it anymore. And I might go back and listen to that song, for fun, but the song's not in my head anymore. It's gone. Like, it's out. It's finished. And it's the same with software. It's the same thing with applications. I can't rest, I can't stop until I've done the thing and I've built something with the thing, because it just sits there in my mind forever. It just sits there going round and round and round. Hey, Chess Noob 28. Thank you for your comment. It says cool stream. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm off on a tangent here, talking about the where I find value in, and why I do things and why I don't do things, and doing things like advent of code is it's not for me. It's not for me because, as I've already been through anyway. I'm not going to waste more time because we've got code to review. We got precious code to look at. And I need to commit some of it because it's building up and building up and building up, and I need to move on. And if I'm working with AI agents, they're going to start messing stuff up soon. Anyway, back to what we're working on today. So this is a new feature, which is generating a report, a lovely printable change log of. Is this a corporate sponsored stream? No, not at all. Corporate? What do you mean corporate? What do you mean? Is this sponsored by Splunk? No. Is this sponsored by other companies? No. This is my morning, mate. This is my morning before work. And anyway, this feature that we're talking about. What language do you use for coding? I use the two languages that I favor, that I use mostly. I use a bunch of other stuff over the years, but the languages that I use most are Go, or Golang, as some people might call it, but it's actually Go, and TypeScript, and therefore JavaScript. In fact, I like to do a lot of stuff in pure JavaScript if I can, but if I'm building bigger stuff, I do it in TypeScript. Smaller stuff, I do in JavaScript. So small things, but libraries I'll do in TypeScript, simply because that's where a lot of the value of TypeScript comes in. But yeah, TypeScript, or like all your stuff you're looking at here, this is all built in TypeScript. This is a TypeScript application that's running over a Go backend. The entire thing is API driven. It's all driven by a number of different REST APIs, and this is an interface that I've built. Essentially, what you're looking at is an interface that I've built in order to sell the API. What I've built is an API product. No one sees that yet because all they see is this. But all this is just an example of how to build an interface over those APIs. To how to build a fully functional, fully complete end-to-end application that uses all the features and functions of that API. But here is a complete, it's a complete GUI. It's extraordinarily rich and powerful. But this is all just powered by the API. It's just rendering the API responses. No more, no less. So this is effectively, a tool to say this is how to use the API. Well, that's what the Doctor is. It is an API product for businesses to build their own integrations over the top of, to build their own applications on top of. This is an example of one of them, but not by means, the only way to do it. There's n number of ways you can configure this and build your own tooling over the top of. So what we're looking at today, I keep getting sidetracked, sorry, is this is a change log. So every time you make a change in this open API specification, which is what this tool is for, I've got stupid toilet words in here. I'm sorry, I'm going to change that. So let's just not be so silly. There we go. Make a diagnosis. Okay, so what's happened is I just changed that value to drop. And now it's gone and told me there's a new change that was made this minute. And here's the change. Here's the report. This is actually the feature that I'm talking about. It still needs a lot of work because I'm still it's a work in progress. But it's told me that what I've gone and done is I've removed a server, which I have because I've changed the URI, which is the identifier for the server. So effectively, in terms of the spec, I've removed and added something. And by removing this server, it's actually a breaking change, which is what that heart is for. So this is like the report system that I've been working on. There's other pieces and bits and pieces I've been going through, but I want to go and review this code because the way it's rendering right now is really clean, and I'm pretty happy with it. I spent weeks on this, weeks getting it right, because this is actually generated from Markdown. This is so much better to hear than Theo obsessing over TypeScript, full stack plus React. Yeah, look, nothing against Theo at all. I think he's a very smart man, and he's, obviously got a great sense of business on top of that, and his products seem really popular. Good for him. But I also think there's an element of that whole like obsession of stacks and being like, you're an idiot if you believe this, or you're a fool for doing that, or this language is so terrible and only idiots use it. All that is just for clicks and views. It's drama. It's like WWE. It's just a soap opera. And if you look at the videos, it's always like the latest, a tweet that somebody sent that's created a thread that maybe the tech scene was into, but the majority of the ecosystem has no idea about. They're like, oh no, big drama. It's like, what are you talking about? What drama? And I hear not just Theo, but then there's other folks out there talking about having like 10 years of experience. It's like, okay, well, if you've got 10 years of experience, you probably haven't seen many cycles. You've seen maybe one, maybe. It's when you get to 25, 30, 35 years of experience, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this one. We've seen this one before. We've seen that one before. We've seen this. Oh, this is just another version of that. Or, oh, do you remember XXX? Well, this is just like that, but plus, plus, plus. So you see the patterns. And some of these influencers haven't seen the patterns, so there's a massive obsession over certain stacks or certain technologies. They'll learn, they'll see it, and they'll come off of the aggressive takes on everything, because everything has its value. Every language has its value. Every technology has its value. Maybe Ruby. I'm joking. Ruby's. Some people love it. Rails, very popular. DHH, he likes it. Is it performant? No, not at all. Do people just like the designer language? And yes, but that's kind of one of the reasons why I like Go. Because it is very simple and it's easy to express what you want. it's easy to read, and it compiles down to machine code and runs extraordinarily fast. You know, it's the new Java. I was a huge fan of Java. Still am a huge fan of Java. Java's great. Java is great. The internet runs on Java. The internet runs on Java. Without Java, the internet wouldn't exist in the form it does today. It's absolutely essential, and most enterprises all deploy. You know, Amazon just a big Java shop. Don't be fooled. Don't believe the hype. Java is king, particularly in business. But it's fat and slow, and the JVM is annoying, and it's verbose. Well, it's not so much anymore. It's getting better. But Go has all the benefits and other drawbacks, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm not going to obsess about Go because we're doing code reviews. And this is the Markdown report stuff that's new in the Docker. So I'll give you a show. So look, nice shoes, mate. Yes, nice coat too. I'm just going to go through and just make a couple of edits and just add in some, bits and pieces, random letters in here, just to trigger changes, like a change detection in the document. Quite a lot of them, so we can see the report in all its glory, and then we're going to look at the code that we have going on. For what it's worth, I think TypeScript stacks have their place. They do, and there's a lot of applications out. I'm totally breaking up these UUIDs here. They have their place. Do I obsess over one or the other? I mean, I don't obsess, but I do have my preferred stack. I do have my own preferred way of doing things, and I don't do it because it's easier. I do it because it gives me the most control, and it gives me the most freedom. But the way that I've built a lot of low-level systems from scratch. In fact, this entire platform is basically from scratch. Did I build the database drivers? No. But just about everything else on top of it, yes. Everything else. So I've got control. I can change things however I want. I can make things do whatever I like. I'm not bound by any one vendor. I am the vendor. That's why I have my entire stack of all of this is hand built from the ground up. I say hand built. Yeah, you can't use that term anymore. Can't use that term. Changing stuff. I'm just changing some values just randomly because I want to show this rendering differently, or show the Markdown report. So actually, I was kind of explaining what the feature is. It's a Markdown report that then gets converted into HTML, post-processed into HTML. So the actual output is just straight up simple Markdown, and then I've got a custom HTML renderer that takes that Markdown and it's an HTML renderer that I've used customization on. It's actually a really nice framework called Goldmark. I was going to call it Goldberg there. It's not Goldberg. It's called Goldmark. Goldmark in Go. Great renderer, and you can tune it and customize. So I've done that pretty heavily and put a bunch of post-processing in. So it takes this simple Markdown and builds really nice, clean HTML, which you can then fully tune and customize. So you can make it look how you want. I'm just going to add a couple more changes in here. I'm changing schemas, I'm changing responses, I'm changing requests and headers and all kinds of stuff. All right, that's enough. Let's just do that. All right, so we've actually see here is 27 changes were made. This is all the changes made through the tree. You can see a number of changes here. If you click on any of that, it will bring out this. You can actually, here's all the changed items, if you're interested. There's a change list. There's a graph showing all the changes. Then there's a diff. You can actually see left, right. And here's, you can click through the objects and see, what things were changed. Like here's the description changed from this to this, and that was the delta on the change. So it's pretty powerful stuff. if I don't say so myself. Anyway, none of that is what we're looking at. We're looking at this change report. Let's bring that back up. So this is taken Markdown in, and it's generated this HTML out. So it builds us a table, which is this is just a standard Markdown table, and then it post processes it. It takes all that, it scans in the HTML that's generated, and then starts moving nodes around to create this. And this is a summary of the changes. And here's all the individual things. You know, we got the summary was changed to this, description was changed to this. Here's an example that was changed, and it renders out the example. Here's a breaking change. You know, the operation ID was changed to get debugging, which is a breaking change. You change an operation ID, you're actually changing the signature of the method that is generated for that operation. This all looks great to me, by the way. This is we're not working on this today. I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on this. I'm talking maybe weeks on this. Weeks of time. Anyway, made a bunch of changes. Some of them are breaking. This is the feature that we're going to look at some of the code on. As some of the code, because it's split across multiple repos and multiple projects. It all happens at different layers of the system, and you know the generation happens at the lowest level in something called libdoctor or the doctor, and then it's transformed at the higher level in the platform. So let's go look at that. I'll find my diff viewer. All right. Here's my diff viewer. So these are the files that I've got. Actually, if I can let me bring up terminal, my tower here. Hang on, bear with me for one moment as I open it up. I've got to find it now. I've got so many projects in here, so many repos. I can't find what the bleeding hell I'm looking for. Okay, just so you can see what's going on. Right. Oh, my tower is gone. Let me add that. I need to add that. It's annoying. That is annoying, isn't it? I thought I had it open. But I don't. I'm kind of talking to myself here because I'm actually configuring the stream in real time. I'm going to be adding tower in, which is it's a GUI that I use. There you go. All right, now we can see tower. And this is I'm working on this branch here, and these are the files that I've got. These are modified files. We're going to be looking at these. I'm not doing the review in here because I kind of hate this diff editor or this diff viewer. It's got a built-in one and I think it's crap. So I've got a different one that I actually use. Doing diffs in. Much better tool. And that is what this is. Well, if I can click the damn thing. I haven't got my stream deck set up for this review stream. I've got different versions of the stream. I've got like a coding stream, I got a review stream, and then I've got another project I'm starting. I'll be streaming as well, which is nothing to do with any of this stuff we're looking at today. It's completely different. But I'm not talking about it yet because I haven't figured it out yet. I'm still thinking about it, but it will be interesting nonetheless. Well, I hope so anyway. All right, so let me just bring that a little bit. Here's those files I was mentioning up on the left. We're going to go through them one by one. This is a node renderer. So I always prefer a side-by-side diff, to be honest, just because it's just easier for me to see. I'm not a fan of the inline diffs. I just prefer this view. So here's what it was, and here is what it is, what we've changed. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing there. Nothing worth talking about anyway. The next change is all the way down here. All right. Here, so if you think back to the, actually, I'll just show you. Oh dear! Now my stream is freaking out. Wow, what happened there? Absolutely froze. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. It just went nuts. Something went nuts. Don't know. I don't know what happened there. It's weird. All right, the table. This table here, over on the right-hand side. You can see my mouse. This is what I was working on the other day, and this is some of the code that I want to review. And that's what most of this stuff. The changes is all in here, but that's what that table is. If you think about table cell is the function we're looking at. It should make more sense. So in here we're looking at the table cell, and what this does is if it checks whether or not we're in a header, and we can just do that by, you can see like it's just looking at those nodes as I said, and we got th and td, and we got. That's it. That's all that code is. So before, it was just doing alignment, and it was. Actually, I can show you what it looked like before. So the way, yeah, this is previous, and this is what I changed it to. I'll show you. I'll actually show you. So it's obvious. Hang on a minute. Bring up the wrong tools again. This is what it looks like now. If we go back to something from a couple of weeks ago, this is what the table looked like back then. I mean, it is an HTML table, but it's got zero styling on it. The rest of it, we had the horrible breaking symbol. The reason why this all looks different is because, just for your own information, it runs once. When you run the machine, effectively you feed the spec into the doctor, everything is generated right there and then, and it's saved. It's not done on demand, it's not computed, so it's basically, this is just one massive file system underneath that's pulling up all kinds of reports that were generated. It's not stored in a database, it's actually compressed and stored on disk, and then uncompressed and read into memory and then discarded. So everything runs, and that is like a moment in time, and it is not regenerated. And if you were to regenerate the report, you get whatever the code base was at the current time, showing you all the features and the changes. So it basically kind of runs it through the machine and saves it. That's what the platform does. It's not generating in real time. That's why it's so performant and efficient, is because once it's done, it's done. Unless you move it into the system, it's going to consume zero CPU, zero memory. Anyway, that's just my design choice. So I can actually have this application runs on next to no power. It's getting thinner and thinner and thinner as I move forward with more and more refinements, to the point where you should be able to run it like very comfortably on a badge pin, that you get from a conference. But this is what it looked like a couple of weeks ago. Actually, if you look at it, no, that wasn't me working on it. This was me working on it as well. I was trying to change things around. No, still working on it. There we go. Look, that's what it looked like. So started there, worked through it for a little while, and we ended up here, which is what I'm happy with. I'm happy with that. All right, back to Kaleidoscope. That's what that get table cell tag is. Now it knows if it's being rendered inside a header or the cells inside a header. So it will format it and align things properly, whereas it wasn't doing that before. All right, that's all the file. That's everything in this one. Let's move on. Ooh, that's very small. You can't really see that. Let's zoom in. Looks like I'm gonna have to zoom in for every single one. All right. There's nothing in here but a comment. Moving on. Oh, there's some more meat in this. The integration test. I don't care about that. Oh, I don't care about that. There's going to be so many changes in here. This is all AI generated code, by the way, so it's just a mess. Not in a mess. It's a mess to try and review because I don't care as long as the test passed and the coverage is good. That's not important right now. What's important is making sure there isn't any kind of trash in here in the code, not the tests. Markdown reporter. Got rid of right lines format. That's an overhang from some designs I was working on before. There's that breaking mark. So this is what it actually gets generated into the markdown because there's no formatting in there. So the markdown generates this as a constant for breaking, which is why you saw in the older report. And all of this is code that does post-processing and it uses markers for determining things like examples. So if you think back to the report, you had those inline rendered examples. Doing that from straight up markdown it's a bit tricky, and this is what I spent a long time on, is figuring out how you can take just unformatted raw markdown and then know that you can convert this into a code block, because trying to get markdown and formatting and using HTML renderers and trying to get the HTML to render correctly based on deeply nested lists and have things still render in place in lists. Really, really tricky. Fiddly, tricky, messy. Just to answer the chat, there was a chat, make Discord bot videos, please. Oh, I see. So there was a chat on a message from Kisuke Uehara on YouTube asking me to make Discord video bots. I am sorry, probably not going to be doing that. I have built one. There's one built into my platform, but it's not very interesting. Not for me. So probably not going to be doing that. It's not very difficult either. You could just ask AI and it will be done in 10 minutes for you. Not even that, 5 minutes. So I'm not going to be doing Discord bots. I'm only working on Princess Beef stuff, to be honest. If you're curious what Princess Beef is pb33f.io. Go take a look. But that's what I'm working on these streams. If I ever need to build a Discord bot, I probably will at some point. But I don't know. I mean, look, I'll change my position. Maybe I will, but not right now. Not for the foreseeable future, anyway. Back to this code. This is where the majority of the changes are. Can I make this? Can I change the size of this? Nah, I can't really, can I? Let's just make that a bit bigger. All right. So oh, I see. Okay, yeah. I was looking at this code the other day, and I was like, this is jank. This is jank. We can clean this up, and you can see here. So what we've done, instead of doing this, if, it just, yeah, it's stupid. It's stupid code, because AI built this code. And I was like, AI, Claude, you dummy, you dumb. What are you doing? Look at this. What's this? If. Dumbo. I like that. It's like a cross between Dumb and Dumber and Dumbo. Dumbo. Anyway. Much more sense. Just build a slice of simple structs. A simple struct doesn't even need to be defined, doesn't even need a type. Just anonymous inline struct with methods, and then you iterate over that. So yeah, that's what that change is. That's nice. Zoom in here. Next file is the post processor. Oh. Yeah. So this, I was going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. We're trying to get super deeply nested examples rendering properly. And, you know, use a combination of markers. Like when you're doing markdown, you know, the spacing, white space is important. It's how you would define, you know, nested lists. And I mean, I'll give you an example of what this actually looks like. Let me go back to Chrome. And Chrome, do I have any in here? Yeah, I got one here. Look at this. So I'll zoom in here just so you can see a bit better. This is a responses, and it starts with a list here. Then we got 2 list items. Then we do a sub list, and then we render out this code block and we syntax highlight it. I can't tell you how much work that has been to get it to render like this. Not because it's hard to do in terms of, you know, build the markdown and you'd have an HTML renderer convert it, but the quirks and the nature of different renderers are all different. They're all different. Like they're literally interpreting markdown in their own way, and some of them do it in interesting ways, some of them do it in complicated ways, and just trying to get it to render properly. And you know, it was a combination of fixing the markdown and fixing the HTML renderers. Yeah, it was a real challenge. Anyway, so I had all this code for trying to do all this work, and it really turns out, you know, going backwards and forwards with just modifying the markdown a little bit from the report would do the job properly and get this done in the right way. So that's what all of this code that we're looking at right now is actually all about. So I'm going to bring that back up. And all of this stuff here was fixing the nested lists and stripping out the markers. The markers are HTML comments that I added in to the markdown. So when you generate the markdown, you've got a mode, we just generate it, and it just generates straight up clean markdown. Can be used by any renderer. Then you can turn on a rich mode, and the rich mode is, or enhanced mode, but the enhanced mode will put in these markers in place so I can then use that for post-processing. It's HTML comments to say thing starts here, thing ends here. They're like, you know, placeholders, if you will, to say this part is for this type of rendering, this part is for this type of rendering. It's the same markdown. It's the same markdown, but it's just got enhancements in there that wouldn't render in markdown anyway because they're comments, but I use them. And this is what this code here was doing. It was just doing regex and formatting, trimming, counting indentions, trying to wrap in lists and list items. Just all of it. Like, God, that must be, what, over 100 lines of code? More than that. 26 to 104. No, not quite 100 lines, but 80 lines of code ish, give or take. But still, massive amount of code. Got rid of all of it. Didn't need it. Just didn't need it. The tests. Just so makes sense. This is what I mean by those markers. Those are comments. Those are HTML comments. And they have specific tags in them to help the renderer know what to do when it reaches, oh, this is that thing, or this is an example, so I'll render it out, you know, as a code block with formatting it, and I'll apply chroma, syntax highlighting to it. You know, so I've got to put some tags in there. That's where that syntax, although, you know, the colored text comes from, that's done by chroma. When it's not inside of an editor like Monaco, then it's a completely different rules engine for highlighting. And I need to unify those two. By the way, those are not synchronized. In here, in this test, we don't need this code, this test anymore. The fixing the nested list, because there's no nested lists to fix. I went round on this for about 2 days. I'm not gonna lie, 2 days trying to figure this out. And then I went so far, and I was like, I am not making progress. The only way forward is backwards. So I went back and I left the code where it is, but I started a different way of approaching it and formatted and looked at the markdown in more depth, to be honest, and started really digging in, and then I figured out a way around it. Anyway, that's not interesting. What's interesting? Well, maybe it's interesting. It's important for the content. It's important for the story. All right. This is good. I mean, just getting rid of... Yeah, see, look, there's tests for repairing the list structure. God, look at all this. It was so bad. So bad. Oh, man. When you find yourself in situations when you're having to simulate Goldmark's incorrect parsing, it's like... You've gone down the wrong path. Like, you've gone too far. And sometimes you just don't want to give up. It's like, I can make it work. Just one more edge case, and then you get those 2 edge cases, and then you get another one, and it all blows up again. When you're like just trying to dodge and weave through the design is wrong. Bring it back up, and think about from a different point of view, from a different perspective, and that might mean stopping coding for the day and going off and doing something completely different. Going off and having a moment, take a walk, go to sleep. Don't go and get drunk. Don't do that. That won't help you. But taking some time to think outside of coding. And then, I always find the best time for me to do that kind of thinking is when I'm taking a walk. No headphones on, no music, just you and nature. And if you're in a city, you can't really do that because yuck. But if you can, get out to a park, get out to somewhere outside, and do that. Just walk. And your body is then busy and getting some nice, pleasant, soft exercise. And it is exercise. And your mind is free to think and wander. And it's when you're wandering, it's when you're floating around in your subconscious, when you're daydreaming. That's where your subconscious really becomes this amazing tool for processing. It's your slow thinker. It's the thinking slow. There's the book out, Thinking Fast and Slow, and it's just like 2 brains, the fast and the slow brain, and it gives you a chance to flicker between fast and slow thinking, conscious and subconscious thinking. You can do that when you're free to wander, along a path where you don't need to pay attention. You can just let your legs do the walking and your mind do the thinking. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling here, but that's usually where I find you get the best results. Back to the code. This test, just a bunch of test stuff. I don't really care, but it was important to show what was actually changed. And now on to the last. We can commit this. What's going on here? Format extension with target format. Format extension. Extensions are treated very much like examples, because extensions quite often and most often are objects. They're not just string values or scalar values. They are objects. They are going to be, you know, like a full. You never know. You never know. It could be an entire massive configuration object. I've seen those in there before. You know, in fact, some specs, you know, just basically extensions and using that as a way to build in all kinds of retries and limiting and rate limiting, that is, and permissions and roles and RBAC, ABAC. You know, you bring it all in via extensions. I see that a lot. So yeah, making sure you can see those objects rendered cleanly. That's what this is doing. Whether it's JSON, YAML, or whatever it is, it's basically just going to determine, you know, what format is this extension coming in, because it can be a string that is a blob of XML or JSON, or it could be an actual JSON object that's part of the. You never know. You get all kinds. You get all kinds. And there's no other real change except we got format as code block. My kids are in the background. I'm sorry if you can hear them. Well, maybe not. I've turned the gate up now, so you shouldn't be able to hear the background noise. When everyone's in the house, everyone is in the house during the day. It's a very noisy place. It's a teacher's training day at school. That's why. Yeah. All right. There's nothing else that's interesting in here. This is just kind of going through that. I'm pretty happy. Let's commit. Let's commit the code. Now, what we do need is. Hang on. We need a commit message. Sorry, I'm just getting my terminal set up there. Let's bring in terminal one, back up to Claude. Now, for the commit messages in the Doctor library, every commit that I put in there, I usually do something about, like, a quote from Doctor Who. It's usually a Doctor Who quote, and then I'll put something, you know, actually what was changed in there. So the thing is, I've done loads and loads and loads. I don't know how many hundred of commits that there are in there now, but there's a lot. There's a lot in there. 117 commits. That's 117 quotes I've had to come up with. I've run out. I think I've run out. I'm starting to recycle them now. Doesn't really matter because it's just a bit of fun. But I now use Claude to help me come up with a quote. And they've just released the new Opus 4.5. Let's change that. So we've got the latest and greatest model. The most capable for complex work. 4.5. Are you using this? And it is phenomenal. I love it. It reminds me yet again of why Anthropic are just absolutely smashing it at the moment. So, come up with 10 amazing Doctor Who quotes that haven't been used already. Please check the Git history of the repo. Well, ask Claude to do the work for me. Go and take a look at it and tell me what I have used, what I haven't used. What I've noticed with this latest version of Claude Code as well is it forks itself for doing planning, and it creates all these different plans. Maybe this is something that's already existed, but there's a plan. The planning bot now splits off and does multiple variations of the plan and then combines them into a single plan. I've not seen it do that. I still doing it over the weekend. It was great. Really good. Let me also search for the Git history more thoroughly. Well, that's what I'm asking you to do. There you go. Look, there's a few coming up now. Some people live more than in 20 years and others do in 80. Courage isn't just a matter. Ooh, here's some new ones. No, the books one, I've used that before. There's a lot of things you need to get across this universe. Warp drive, wormhole, refractors. You know the thing you need worst of all? You need a hand to hold. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Let's use that. Great. This one. The Doctor lies. Yeah, I know, I've used that one. The Doctor always lies. That's an old one. This one's nice though. Bit big though, isn't it? Rest is for the weary. There we go. Let's do this. I haven't done this one. Rest is for the weary. Sleep is for the dead. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. We're going to go over the tower. And we're going to take our files. Ding, 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 ding. Hang on a minute. These files, what's going on here? I seem to have brought up the wrong code review here, because these files are not the files we just looked at. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Oh my man, we have to go back and do it again. I don't know what we just looked at. We're looking at the diff between the main... Oh, what? I don't know what we clicked on here. Tuned off for a code review. Oh no, look. That's the one I did a couple of weeks ago. We did an old code review. No wonder. I thought it looked a bit light. And it looked a bit strange. Oh well. No harm done. It's we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Look at this. Right, well, we're going to do one by one. Let me see if I can bring up my div tool. No, probably not. God, that's annoying. That is annoying, isn't it? I have to look at it one by one. Alright. Fine. We're not going to look at the tests. The tests are fine. What's this? Model walk. Let's bring that up and click the div tool, and then I'll have to come back over to this. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Alright. Go over to Kaleidoscope. We can take a look at this file now. Without. There we go. Alright. Let's go down to the first set of changes. There was a... Alright. So in walk model, this is there's a whole bunch of changes going on in here, because there's all kinds of stuff going on. In fact, I'm not ready to commit this code because this is test code. This is when I was saying earlier that there's problems with the model in terms of rendering out some of the edges and nodes. That's because I've disabled this. I was testing something. So this this file needs to stay as is. The warp model, it's not ready. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? If we come back to Chrome, not Chrome, Tower. Let's make sure that none of these are coming in, because these are not ready. These are modifications to the model, the schemas, the proxy, it is not ready for that stuff to go in there yet. And that is not ready to go in there yet. But all of this stuff in this change iterator is. This is the renderer that I was talking about. These are the files we really care about. And that post processor threw me off as I saw it in there again. Let's get rid of that. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this one. And then configure. Hang on a minute. Bear with me. I am trying to figure out what is going on here because it is all gone upset now. I need to figure out a better way to bring in my code review tools. This is not going to be a great way to do it long term. I will figure out. All right, here we go. Now we can see it. I'll get better at this. Next code review when we're doing so much jumping around. Anyway. This is what it was. And this is what I've added. Some of the functionality that I wanted to add was when every time you get an object, I'm going to put one of the icons I have defined in my lexicon for that. I've got different icons I use that render those. When you see that object rendered out, it's always going to have that icon in there. So this is what this does. Is it actually replaces the name of how I've got it defined in my own internal. It's actually in the UI in the TypeScript. I've got a model icon that uses this value to render out the correct version. So that's something that was added. A whole bunch of stuff added to references. Object type icon. Again, this is what maps the object name, which is hard coded. Defined is actually part of the standard. And then how I translate that into a label. So then we have this process, which did exist before, but it wasn't doing this removing of the table. So there's a configuration option that we'll probably look at here in a minute. Or is it? Yeah, it's in here. Yeah, it's in the config. When we get to the config, in the config, I added a new Boolean configuration that says, do you want to move the table to the side, which is what you saw in Chrome, or do you want to keep it in line? And if it does, like this enable floating sidebar, that's the config I was talking about. It'll then wrap the metadata, which is that table summary of how many changes there were, how many breaking things there were, and then all the object types. It'll wrap that in an aside, which is an HTML tag for go to the side, put this aside. I mean, that's tongue in cheek, but it basically means like a navigation item, or it's a floating table of contents or something like that. It goes to this side. This is an aside thing. Anyway, it wraps that in an aside, so it can then be styled with CSS to float off to the right, and all the content can wrap around it. Which is what happens. And then the other thing that I kind of hated is in the Markdown, I create a bolded breaking, and I use the emoji icon in there, which is all I can really do because Markdown is plain text. There is nothing in there. You can't put fonts in there. You can't put styling in there. All you can do is you can put styling in there, sorry. You can't put fonts in there. You can't put images in there. Not without, creating image tags and all kinds of, it's a mess. And then you get into custom render. I mean, just trying to keep it simple so it's universal for all tools. You can't really do that. My volume seems to be set incorrectly. There we go. I've changed the volume. Sorry. This was all from last week, not last week, the week before, when I was doing streaming in the office, and my audio settings were all different. Everything was different. I'm back in my main arena now, but some of my changes are they're a bit off. Anyway, all right. There's nothing else to that part about rendering the emoji, because that's all I can do. So I put the emoji in there. It's a breaking heart because it means broken. But I kind of hate that in the HTML because I don't use emojis in my HTML. I use icons, rendered icons, SVG icons, not emojis. So and kind of emojis, they've been ruined, in my opinion, by AI, throwing them in every single. Hello, Taras, how you doing? I believe that AI has ruined emojis. Just, seeing them in every single tick box and every single list, and the rocket icon and the fire, and So I try and avoid them because I think they're horrible now. And I use rendered icons. So this is what this is doing, is effectively reading in the HTML as a post processor, and then it's seeing where I've got that emoji in there and replacing it with my Heartbreak Fill SL icon. SL is the component library that I built my own components on top of. It's called Shoelace, which has now been rebuilt as something called WebAwesome. If you haven't seen WebAwesome, go and look it up. I haven't used it yet. I've got access to it, but yeah, the rocket ship and the fire, yes, yuck. And the green tick, you forgot the green tick. You need the green tick in there for every list item, every single list item. Yes, it does help, thank you. Where was I? Oh yeah, Shoelace. It was rebranded as WebAwesome. WebAwesome. While we're here, let's go and take a look at WebAwesome. WebAwesome. There it is. WebAwesome. So WebAwesome is essentially the. Hang on. I'll show you what I'm doing. Shoelace. Shoelace is the library that I'm using. 3 billion hits a month by JS Deliverer, 107,000 a week downloads. It's a well loved component library, but it's effectively web components. It uses lit element underneath, and you've got a whole bunch of very nice, very clean drop downs and icons and buttons and very simple, very, very atomic level components. For example, the things I use quite a lot is tags. Tabs. You see that? I use that a lot in the docs, just because it's just clean. And I use tags as well in places. And the tree, I use the tree. The tree, another great one. I custom render it a little bit, which you've seen already. You can see that. Where are you? So I render out the tree slightly differently, but that's because this library is phenomenal. I've loved it since I found it, and I've been using it for 3 years, and I'm still using it. It hasn't run out of power yet. But then Corey Lavaska, the author, got hired by FontAwesome. FontAwesome are great. They do icons. Been around for years. And years and years. And you got just icons. You go there. I'm not sponsored, by the way. This has got nothing to do with me. I'm a customer. And what happened is they took Shoelace. They took basically he's employed there, and they've rebuilt it now. But they've basically upgraded it. They've added a few more components in there. They've built things, all the kind of things that you're used to seeing with component libraries. You've now got all this kind of cool stuff. And it's all web components. So you can wrap React, Svelte, Vue, whatever you want, doesn't matter. Just wrap it around a custom element, and you've got a React component, and you've got a Vue component. You know, it's beautiful because you can build these components for any framework, and they'll work flawlessly. And well, that's the mission. So yeah, Web Awesome is lovely. They got theming in there. Something I'm probably going to upgrade to, because I do want some of the theme. I've already started building my own theming stuff into the Doctor. You can take a look where I keep losing it. Zoom out a bit, man. It's too big. It's too big. Come over. It's too big. Just too big. And click on the settings. You can turn on this. This doesn't work, by the way. Well, it kind of does, but it looks like crap. It's crap. I haven't got it right yet. So there is a light and a dark mode. About 25% done. Still not lots of work to be done on it. And then bringing the themes in as well, because I want to theme all of this so you can, change it into boring mode, like corporate mode. Get rid of the neon look and feel. And then you can bring in, I don't know, sensible mode. I don't know. Just themes that you can customize and tune, change all the colors, change the fonts, whatever you want. That's another goal as well. Not quite there yet. Back to the code. Always back to the code. Let's go back to the code. So this is what this post-processing is doing. It's getting rid of that breaking emoji. This here does the post-processing on the object summary table, which I was talking about earlier. There's only one table in there. As it looks at the table with the prefix of object, and it uses that to then do all the changes, fuse things around, adds some CSS. Well, it just adds a class, really. All it's doing is taking the existing table rendering and then adding a class to it in place editing, if you will. Doing the same thing with the table content. Is it just uses the TR/TD as tokens and then breaks everything else apart and re-renders what's inside. Putting the icons in and the naming in and the things that I want in there. That's what that is all for. And then same thing. We got the icon in here. It does post-processing if you think back to the table, has a icon in front of the object name. That's the same thing there. So this is all good. We're going to commit this. Let's move on to the next file. I'm going to bring up the diff, and I got to swap over my dang gotta swap my stream. Sorry, I'll do a better job for next time. Gotta do a better job next time. This one isn't too big of a change. So this is what I was talking about, like this is the markdown generator that we're looking at. So this is the source of the material for the feature, and it generates a markdown table. And then this markdown table is what's rendered into HTML. All this has done here is get rid of this. So I was looking at this being rendered out, and I was like, why am I printing changes by type? It's obvious. So deleted that from the table. That triple hash there, that means H3. So heading 3, if it was 2 hashes, it would be 2. And you guessed it, if you had 1, it's heading level 1. Still need to get some of the CSS rendered out cleanly for that. But what this is doing, this is rendering out a markdown table. Could probably use a library for it, but I don't. That does it better. I'm not entirely sure this is going to be liked by some renderers. I don't know. I haven't really spent much time looking at the raw markdown, to be honest. Not on the table anyway. Not on the table because it's so basic. All right, we'll keep moving. Okay, get server identifier. So another thing that is kind of to make this valuable, to make the data valuable, is it doesn't, with the way that the data structure comes through with the change report in there, the struct, it's it's got a lot of data in there, but it follows a pattern of what was new, what was old, what was added, what was removed, the left, the right, and depending on how it's been pulled out of libopenAPI, that's where the data comes from. That's where the actual the diffing is done in libopenAPI, and it creates like a report structure that you can then walk. And that's what this tool is doing, is just walking the report structure. When you get servers, for example, so this is like an array of servers that come in, you got to do a bit of analysis on determining, well, we know that it was server at the index of 0 that was modified, or a new one was added in position 1, so we know it was there, and that's kind of what you get from in the report, is like this server object at position 1 was modified. But then you got to kind of do a bit of work and then figure out, what is these bots keep popping in? Best viewers stream, man, there's bots on Twitch, they're horrible. Yuck. Anyway, yeah, people who buy viewers, man, who are they fooling? Themselves or the audience? What this is doing here is determining if it's added or removed, and then it's the problem. The problem is in libopenAPI, if you remove something, it just says the server was removed, but it doesn't have the details that were in there. It doesn't have a copy of the object, or it didn't. So that's what this is doing, is actually trying to pull out the URL from the change and render it out. So it's trying to make the rendering useful, so you can actually see them. If you think back to the beginning of the stream when we're looking at removing and adding servers, which is what I did right at the beginning, you saw that flip. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Sorry, my son is outside crying. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I've got to fix my mic as well. That's why I was muted earlier. It was because my open mic doesn't work. My button has been remapped. Anyway, we're going to continue on. I am going to take a quick break in a few minutes, though. Just for a moment. Go get myself a refreshed drink. Same kind of things here. This is post-processing on individual types of objects, and is trying to figure out, how do I make this meaningful in a report, like pulling out the item that was added or removed. For example, with a server or a security requirement, it's hard to know what was actually changed, which value was changed, because these are all dynamic values. So this is what this is doing, is actually showing like it's using the JSON path to determine which bit is actually changed, so you can bubble that up into the report and make it useful. If you just put the raw data in, it's like, what? I see it, but I don't see it. And that's a key. A key is making it like, when you're looking, it's like, oh, I see it. I understand now. That's all I'm ever trying to do, is just make it obvious, like, so you can see this data, this complicated, endless sea of JSON or YAML. What does it actually look like? What is actually going on? That's the key. That's all this is. I say that's all this is. There's a lot to it. That is all this is in this particular file chain. So I'm happy with that. So we've got a post processor, our markdown reporter, the final verification test that I need to worry about, and the renderer config that is unchanged except for that one. Oh. Yeah, we'll just take a look at this. We'll take a look at this in Tower, because it's, I don't want to bring up the review again. I've got the configuration window again is what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to bring up Tower. Can't zoom in on this, unfortunately. That's why I don't like using this as my diffing tool, because the zoom doesn't work. But the only difference is these two values here, hard to read. It says enable floating sidebar and sidebar width. What that does is, like I said earlier, if you've got the table that's rendered inline in the report, if you switch this on as part of the config, what it's going to do as part of the post-processing stage is detect that in the report, the rendered HTML report, that is, from the markdown, pull it out and wrap it in an aside, which is then controlled by CSS to float to the right. That's all it does. And you can set how wide you want it to be. 30%, 60%, whatever. And if we come down here, it's just, these are just putting in like overrides for defaults, and that's it. Then we've just got this default render config, puts in the defaults, and then returns a struct with these two new values with those overrides in, which are default values. And it's false to begin with, I believe. Nested list. Do we have that in here? There's a constant somewhere. Anyway, I'm happy. I'm happy with those changes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my commit. Rest is for the weary, sleep is for the dead. We modified the renderer in the change iterator to enable a few different things, like the metadata table positioning, icon rendering in the metadata table, and a few other bits and pieces for post-processing markdown. There we go. Let's commit that. The rest of the stuff in here, this is not ready. It's not ready. It's not even ready for review because it's work in progress, but that renderer is good to go. All right. With that, I'm just going to bring it back to Chrome for a second. I'm going to take a few minutes to go and do a bio break and grab a drink, and I'll be right back. We are going to continue on with some code reviews in the bunkhouse. The bunkhouse is the Docker platform. This is what actually consumes all the libraries and sticks them all together and makes it into an actual service, i.e. an API, and a lot more. There's a few things I've been working on over there that I want to add in that are really important, and we were looking at two projects: Ranch, which is the lower level bits of the platform, and the bunkhouse, which is actually building a platform out of the lower level bits. None of this stuff is open source. It's all closed. It will remain closed. It's actually part of that product. The Ranch is open source. You can look at that. That's not super interesting. But it is interesting, kind of. It's what powers the low level mechanics, but on its own, it's kind of useless. You need a platform to build around it, or you need to use it to build a platform. On its own, it's no good. Well, it is good, but it doesn't do anything out of the box. All right, with that, I'll be right back. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. So 20 past the hour. 20 past, I'll be back. All right, we're back, and we're gonna be looking at ranch. Excuse me. I'm trying not to drink as in the microphone. I do a terrible job at it though. I really do. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Honestly. Now what we have here is a whole bunch of files. I know you can't read it. We're not going to look in editing. We're not going to be going through this in here. We're going to be going through it one by one, which means I need to go bring up the editor. You know what might be easier if I just share a section of the window. Maybe do that. Let me just do that. I am going to share a section of the window on my, so I don't have to keep doing this flipping and blah 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 screen capture. What do I want to do? I want to do a window, a new screen capture. Let's do that. Monitor, figure. I am going, and what I'm doing right now in the background is I'm just creating like a screen capture section. And that won't let me. Oh, hang on. It's telling me what to do here. What is it? Select the region, press return to save. Alright, return to save. There we go. Okay. It hasn't worked though, has it? It hasn't worked. Oh, now it's worked. Alright, okay. I'm now sharing a section of my screen. I'm not sharing individual windows. Sorry that it took a moment while I was rambling away to myself. But it means I can now actually come along and open up some stuff like this. Let's do this. Open up my tower, bring up my div tool. There it is. Great. Now I don't have to keep flipping and flopping. Ah, that's better. All right. So what have we got? This is what we're adding into the WebSocket connection listener. This is in Ranch. It's the low-level platform for what I build all my stuff on. It's actually what Wiretap is built on top of, mostly, parts of it. And this is something I've been working on for a long time. Actually, I built this when I was in VMware almost 8 years ago, and it was built like by different engineers. I kind of managed to convince to work on it with me over time, so it's a bit kind of haphazard, but it does most of what I want. And one of the key things is got a message bus built into the core of it, which allows anything to talk to each other, which you can do with channels, but this is something that's slightly different, because it can be extended to and from other applications, so it's more of a higher level message bus rather than low level channels. Anything can talk over it, any component can talk over it without needing to know about what a channel is, or what a Go channel specifically, because it uses the term channels inside. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much, but this is something that I've noticed. Let me see about. Read if you want to read it or not. What this is actually doing is adding in an IP blocking checker. I've noticed on the platform there's a bunch of bots, a bunch of them, that connect constantly to my platform. Constantly. They're just connecting, and then they disconnect, and then they're connecting, and then they disconnect, and then they connect and they disconnect over and over and over again. And it's messing up my numbers. I tell you that. It's messing up my actual statistics of how many sockets I've got open and closed from real customers, so real users, because the bots are messing it up. I don't know what they're just pinging me, really. For what, I don't know. It's annoying as hell though, because it screws all my numbers up. So I've built I built this a while ago, actually. I just haven't committed this code. Or at least I have committed this code, but I haven't kind of wired it up properly. Anyway, there's a this is a code blocking checker, and one of the things I was fixing here was whether or not I was tracking the connection if they were blocked. So they were still blocked, and I was still seeing like all the mechanics of the system still operate. It's like, no, you need to fail fast. That's what this is. This is a fail fast mechanism. So we're not retracking a blocked connection. That was bloating up the database, it was giving us false positives and all kinds of noise. So yeah, that's what this fix is for. And that's all there is. Let's move on to the Stomp server. In the Stomp server, we got some new stuff. Stomp stands for Simple Text Oriented Messaging Protocol. That's what it means, Stomp. Been around for a long time. If you're curious, we look at Chrome here. It's not the show. It's not the Broadway show, which always comes up when you type Stomp. But that's not it. It's not the theatrical show. It's this one, Stomp. I hate the logo. It's so bad. But it's been around for, 2012 was the latest version. So I'm going to turn my threshold down a bit. Most of the noise has stopped. Thank goodness. Threshold on my gate, that is, my noise gate. If you don't know what a noise gate is, it is a piece in my signal chain that is dropping when volume hits below a certain level, so all the background noise isn't caught. I've got it set down very low at the moment. But I'm hearing it kick on, for very slight noises in the background, like there's trucks and stuff moving around the background. None of this matters, you don't care. You don't care. What the fuck did I do? What did I click? I don't know. Oh, I must have clicked that. Is that still going? Is there still... No, to 2022. Yeah, so this is basically a super mature protocol. It's not very efficient. It's all text-based. It adds quite a lot of overhead in terms of the text. That's why, gRPC is a much more efficient protocol for messaging, or RPC, or anything really. It's a bit more efficient than this, but the big but is this works over WebSockets cleanly with text. So there's no binary decoding, encoding you have to worry about, or any of that stuff, and it gives you PubSub. It's a PubSub protocol. So if you've implemented PubSub, there's a really nice, simple, clean way to do it. I've not seen a better way to do it yet. Unless you roll your own simple PubSub protocol, which is what people end up mostly doing, which is essentially just a subset of Stomp. They end up making their own crappy Stomp. So why not just do it properly? Is my point of view. Anyway, that's what the code is. Back to the code. Always back to the code. And what this does is it checks, is the IP blocked? Tracking connection, tracking disconnection. This is something I've got from my metrics service, and I don't implement it here. I'm not sure why I've got it implemented here. I think that's AI being dumb. Probably get rid of that. What the fudge is all of this? What the fudge? Fudging, this must be to satisfy the interface. No. Oh, hang on, there's more down here. No. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Adapts IP block checker to IP blockchain interface. Why? Well, it exists as an adapter. It's an adapter to make it compliant and allows you to pass data in. And when those, it's just, yeah, it's a satisfying interface. I'm not entirely sure why it's in there though. Does make sense in a way. We'll keep looking until I find a reason for that to be there, and if not, then we'll come back and ask more questions about it. Let's take a look at the next. So the next thing, this is something that I built over the weekend. I say, this is all Claude's code. This is all bloody Claude. All this code is Claude right now. I mean, it's all AI, but it does exactly what I want. Except there's situations like this. I'm like, why do we build an adapter? You know, I'm not entirely sure. It has to be a reason, but the reason, you know, AI's reason is like, oh, because this random series of chaos occurred, and you know, I created a banana for you. I can't trust it. Well, maybe you should be trust but verify these days. Trust but verify. What's the next thing? Yeah. So, thing about over the weekend is a rate limiter. So we've got an IP blocking checker here. This is what this is doing. Is it's looking for connections that are connecting and disconnecting too frequently to be one of the actual customers or clients, because there's only one socket. When you connect to the doctor, it opens up a web socket, and that socket stays open for as long as you're using the doctor, which is going to be more than 5 seconds, guaranteed. The average like time that people spend on there is about 2 to 3 minutes. That's the average time. You know, playing around with it, looking at it. And most of this is just people kind of bouncing out, but most people spend a few minutes playing around with it. And bots don't do that. They connect and disconnect. So this stops that. But then I've got another problem, because this is already happening, and you know, like me, everyone on the planet is now using AI. One of the things is I don't have in place yet is rate limiting, mainly because it's not required. I'm just simply not seeing a traffic where I need to rate limit. It's not there. But what I am interested in doing is dramatically rate limiting anyone who is not either using my API properly, like officially, which isn't, you can't yet because it's not released, it's not public, there is no API that I've made available. And I'm seeing people do that. I get reports of people that use the old vacuum demo APIs as they baked them into their damn products. So I see it. Like I see people trying to call them. A lot of churches, strangely churches across the world, funnily enough. Somebody is like some portal must have thought, oh, look, a cool tool, I'll bake it in. And then all these churches around the world using this platform, like, this doesn't work. It's like, well, you will if you want to pay for it. Not yet though, not ready yet. Anyway, enough of that. The reason that's the reason why I'm building this stuff, or have been building this stuff, is because there are people abusing the sockets, and there are people abusing APIs they shouldn't be using, and they've reverse engineered it, which is what I'm fully expecting everyone to do, which is why I'm building this next piece, which is a rate limiter, which I'm about to talk about. I'm just talking through. Now with the rate limiter, I'm not sure how much you know about them, but there's a couple of different ways to implement them. You can use a library, but with Go, there's not really, because the algorithms that you can use there's a few of them. A couple of examples are token exchange or a leaky bucket. A leaky bucket works in the way, if you think of like a literal bucket of water, and every every request is there's a drop out of the bottom of the water. So request, drop, drop, and eventually if you go too fast, like it's dripping too fast, the bucket will empty, and there's no more water. I.e., you can't make any more requests. Nobody can get through. It's completely limited until that bucket refills, and it will refill at a steady rate. So that means that you can only handle X number of connections. By the way, every time the connection drops, the bucket is essentially replenished. So it's the same thing with the token exchange. Is like token in, token out. There's a bucket of tokens, and while somebody has an open connection, they go and grab a token and they sit with it, and then when the connection's closed, they give the token back. And there can only be so many there's only so many tokens, which means only so many open connections or so many things being processed through the platform at once. So anyway, that little detour there is hopefully it's helpful to understanding what I built. I built a token exchange, simple, easy, something you can build with the standard library without having to build or bring in another dependency, which is already a load. There's a load of them in the bunkhouse, loads, because it's pulling in everything, everything. It's a bit of a pig. So the fewer dependencies I can bring in, as long as my own ones I don't care about because I maintain that code, but anything else I'm always wary of. Always minimal dependencies where possible. Use the standard library if you can. So that's what most of this stuff is we're going to look at now. The first thing we'll look at is the config. I realized that. So I'm just going to look at my calendar, make sure that I'm not running over. No, I've got another 20 minutes or so. We can keep going for 20 minutes. That brings up to about 3.5 hours. We should be able to get a good amount of this code reviewed in that time. This is all new code. It's all been added. So, oh, look at that. Bloody date is wrong on that. That date is wrong on that. Let me... Jeez. You know what? Let's get Claude to fix it. Claude, you dummy. Because it's not going to just be in that one file, it's going to be in all the files, isn't it? In the ranch. Hey, Claude, hang on, I'll just put it in. What is it? It's in Plank. Plank is the platform. It's called Plank because imagine it's a plank of wood. It's just enough of a platform to get you going. What is it? Yeah. Okay. There are a bunch of new files that we've added. We're reviewing the code of. But when we created it, i.e., when you created it, Claude, my old mate, you put the wrong year in as the copyright. It is not 2024. It is 2025. It's only 2026, my friend. Please look up the current date and make sure that you correct all the files in this folder because they're all new and guaranteed they're all going to have the same problem. Let's go, Claude. LFG. I'm good. We got 20 minutes left. Claude. The reason why we've got 20 minutes left is because in 20 minutes I've got a meeting that I have to attend, and that signals the start of the workday, the corporate workday, and I'm not streaming that because I've got to focus on something else. Yeah, Claude. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, there you go. Look, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix. Good, done. So if we go back to our code review, there it is. There you go. Now everyone can see it. So our new code. So our rate limiter it's in our rate limiting package. This is part of branch. And what I did is I created 3 tiers for now. I might modify this later on, but it will do for now. It works for my purposes, and it seems generic enough that it would work for everyone else. You've got the idea of unauthenticated, you've got authenticated, and then you've got paid. Whatever that means to you, that is some kind of level up from just a regular user, which is a level up from someone just browsing your unauthenticated experience. And then we have the tier config, which is our tokens per second for the rate and the burst size. So I haven't read this code yet, so I'm actually trying to do a code review in real time. I'm not going to read all the code out as I'm going through it, because it'll take forever and we don't have very long to move through this, and I want to make sure we make some good progress on it. Okay. We have a few different types as part of the config. Our tier configurations, which allows us to make more sense of these. Key extractor, tier resolver, our event handler, the cleanup interval, and warning threshold. So some of the designs I want for this is the ability to hook in logic to any one of these states, so we can customize the workflow. That's what it does upstream, or should be doing upstream. These are the default rate limits. This is 60 a minute, 10 a minute. Yeah, well, what we're looking at here is the default configuration, and this is what comes out of the box. Is that acceptable? I don't know. I don't think so. Looks very low. Looks very, 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 very low to me. But then, why would you want to use the default config? Why would anyone want to use the default config? As an example of how to set it, but you wouldn't want to use it. Yeah, so you can see from the key extractor and the tier resolver, those are custom functions. Those are things that you can implement for your custom logic, for whatever you want to do with that kind of stuff. You need to pull stuff out of the request, like headers or whatever it might be. You've got that key extractor, and then you can use that to resolve whatever you want from the tier, key type. But there's 2 strings basically, and you can then bring out whatever you want. Seems like a good interface for now. It seems like a good design for now. I'm not sure how I would change it. I think this is unreasonable out of the box, but it does serve as a good example of the types, because it's clear about the differences in the tiering. Okay. I think we'll be okay. Let's move on. Okay, we're going to look at the events now. Our key type, our tier, path, method, the rate limit state, and the request context for custom handlers. This looks awful. But I don't see another way to simplify it other than remove it. Okay. So here's our event handler. And this is what I want, is as part of a design for a platform, it needs to have all these hooks. So you know, you're limited, right? So when you are gonna, when the client is going to get a 429, like that's going to happen. Here's an event, part of the life cycle you can hook into to do something. So you can log it, you can send an event, you can, I don't know, send an SMS like saying, hey, you're screwed, pay me more money or whatever. I don't care. But the point is that you have a way to hook into that event life cycle. The same with on approaching, is like you're getting to the limit, and at this point it's really good to send like a WebSocket message. If they're connected to your platform via the web, you can send them a socket message and they're like, oh, bing, oh, I get it, you know, I'm approaching my limit. I mean, it would only be valuable if you're looking at the console, you're logged in or something, and you know you've got a load of back-end services calling it. It's like, hey, your business is reaching its limit, or you send them an email or something like that. And but it's for you to hook into, and then you've got the blocked. It's like you've I don't think I've built the blocking capability in, but the blocking is, you know, there's no access, like there's no way you are forbidden abuse or whatever it might be. Like you're not allowed to call this service, which would be useful for some of those AI bots that are scraping data. I don't want that. I don't want AI turning my platform into a source for its random chat GPT conversations and just draining my resources while they're randomly scraping my APIs for answers, or someone builds an MCP server or something. So it has to be deliberate. That's why I need this. And there's like a no-op event handler that does nothing. So, you know, this is an example of that. But this is really like the design of the core feature. It's really important at that low level. All right, let's move on. Let's bring up the limiter. Okay. So a visitor tracks the rate limit state for a single key. And the key is actually a combination of IP address and your session or your known or your user ID. So it's that we actually generate that key to say, like, this is how we track you, how I'm tracking you. When I say we, I mean, it's not we, it is me. But when you come in, you can see like your IP address, and here's your session that you've got. Everyone has a session ID, everyone. It's part of the core, it doesn't matter. It's part of the API design. You have to start a session. You have to, otherwise you can't call any of the rest of the APIs. And that session is something that you will get given, and then you will submit that session as part of your well, I haven't got that far yet, but I've got mechanisms for it being as part of the header, or it comes in with an API key, or it's sent in a cookie. So there's multiple mechanisms for it, and this is what this key, this visitor, is tracked against. That's what is created in the rate limiter code. So as I was saying earlier, the limiter implements the token bucket rate limiting, and that's got tiered support in it. So, you know, you've got free, known, paid, or free, you know, I don't know, anonymous, known, paid. And then you could have all kinds of sub tiers off of those tiers, you know. But if you can think of anything I'm missing, let me know. So this is just creating a new limiter. You pass a configuration in and it gives you a limiter with the config, and then essentially all it's doing is initializing a map so it's ready to go. Allow is we bring in the request and we return a boolean and an event. So the key and the key type, the key extractor will extract error, extract IP, key type is IP. Yeah, okay, so in here, we're using a tier resolver to determine what type of user we have, whether they are, you know, well, that I've just described, and then we're using a different key set to determine, obviously, the rate limits are different for different types of users. So that's what that's basically like a bucket filled with buckets. So you've got different rate limiters essentially, or different tiers that are used by the rate limiter to determine who goes in where, and which bucket you go in, and how many tokens that bucket has. I'm going to get the token count after consumption. And then here it's calculating the reset time based on the refill rate, and those rates are wired into the tier configuration, which we saw a little earlier. And it does a little bit of simple math on the time. Basically just takes the time duration and adds it to the existing time. So add this, which is how long this is, a second divided by the rate. Yes. And then we create a new event. And then we return this allowed value if the limiter is allowing it through based on the resolver. Okay. Get or create limiter. This is using a mutex lock to pull from a map, which allows it to be thread safe. So multiple, when you're using an HTTP server, you're going to get loads and loads of requests coming in, and they're all kind of delegated asynchronously. So you're going to get lots of requests pulling at the same data structure. And if you don't use a sync map, sync.map, or was it? It's in the sync folder. I believe it's a sync.map. Anyway, it's a synchronous map, slightly different API. It has a full API for adding and removing. But it means you don't need these locks. But if you are going to use a regular map, you have to use these locks. Otherwise, you're going to get race conditions left and right. And it'll panic. Trying to read and write from the same map at the same time. That's what that is. And it's basically looking for limiters based on the tier key. So first of all, we get a read lock. Okay. So this block of code here is doing a double check. There's a fast path and a slow path. The fast path is the user comes in and when we're looking for the limiter based on the key, that they exist within the same tier that's been supplied. They haven't been upgraded, or they haven't moved from A to B. They haven't moved from unauthenticated to authenticated, or they haven't moved from authenticated to paid. So if they haven't moved, you fail, or not fail, but you exit quickly, because we've got the limiter. The limiter that's come in, or the limiter we've found there, is good enough. The tiers match. But if not, we go down to the slow path, so we can get rid of the read lock, and that's done. But now we need to require a write lock, which is just basically a full lock versus a sub lock, which is only on reading. And what we're doing here is we're getting a write lock and performing a tier change, user upgraded, downgraded, whatever that is I just mentioned. And then we're creating a new visitor, building a new limiter. So each limiter is attached to the visitor. Yeah, okay. So, pretty simple. Each limiter is attached to the user. Each limiter is configured with a certain token refill rate, and that user can then pull from that limiter. And you get different types of limiters for different types of users. Here is a job that is doing this once, and it is created a ticker with a cleanup interval, however long that is set in the config default. What was it? Set is config. Cleanup interval is 5 minutes. All right, so every 5 minutes. Let's keep going until it's done. Why is it changing the threshold? Oh, I see. Okay. I was just looking at this line of codes. What the hell is it doing? And then I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This basically, this code here is it creates a lock, like I said before, because there's multiple threads can be running this, but and the defer means that it runs after the cleanup function is exited. But for this, it's actually doing it's a delta. The cleanup runs on a delta, which means it only looks for last time this was seen. Well, the user was seen. Only delete them from. That's 10 minutes. We're about out of time. Damn it. We still got a couple more things to look at. That'll be for another time. I'll continue this review off stream while we're going through it, but hopefully this has been fun. We made a good dent. We did a couple of releases on vacuum today. We also got we spent a bunch of time reviewing an old piece of code, which we shouldn't have done. I knew it looked familiar. Anyway, I think we got quite a lot done today. We've been going for just nearly 3.5 hours now. Unfortunately, I've got to flip over to something different now. Do something different for the rest of the day. Thank you for watching. If you are still watching, I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this later, thank you. I will be back tomorrow at the same time. I plan to be here most days doing the same thing. 4 days a week is my target. So tune in tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Pacific, and we can do some more coding. We actually should be doing some coding tomorrow. I'll have all these reviews done today, and then we'll get the coding done. yeah, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been great. Got any feedback, let me know in the comments. Until tomorrow. See you later.